Okay, thank you very much, team. Hello, team. Welcome to our Tukul number 86 today. And today is a big day for us at the Tukul, as we are always making sure we learn new things. Today we shall be hosting one of the special guests that who is a strong gentleman in town that has been doing a lot of things to do with the cyber security, digital transformations, and also things. He has been a very, very wonderful gentleman, inspiring youth in the country, and he has been doing a lot. Especially there are a lot that he has been doing. So today we are going to host him, and he's going to take us through the topic that we had selected last week. And this topic is one of the most topic that we were not aware before, but it is good that today we are going to learn more from him. And the topic will basically tackle the transformation, this information and the hate speech. So, Beda, over to you, and thank you so much for really accepting your time to come and share your knowledge with us today. We're so happy. Over to you. Thanks.
Okay, great. Just confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, you're good.
Yes, I can see also.
Great. Yeah. So once again, thank you all for joining. It's amazing having all of you in the Tukul today. And it's 29th of July. This is the second last day of the month. And we'll specifically look at how we can tackle misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech, and how we can empower South Sudanese youth, who are the majority of the audience we have here, to handle this very serious issue, especially with all of us in different professions, because it cuts across different professions and also our daily living. It's a pleasure having all of you. And of course, thank you, the Tukul School management, for having made this possible. So before we start, let's take a moment to pause and reflect. So John Ngong, you can look at hands up. So what's going to happen is, I want us to take a minute, like about three people, to talk about one of the following. One, a situation where someone said something bad about you, your organization, a project that you are implementing, or something attached to you, and how you handled the situation. And then two, you talk about a time when you shared or published information with factual errors, and you were called out or people came out to correct you. And lastly, you talk about how often you come across information that you feel is mis or disinformation or hate speech, and what you usually do when you come across such information. So you can raise your hand, or you can type your comments in the chat box. If hands are up, John Ngong, you can give a minute only for each person. Only one of the three. Don't talk about all of them.
Yep, I see a hand from Ojara Charles. Yeah, go ahead, Ojara. Ojara Charles, if you would like to share, please, I'm giving you the mic. So go ahead. Okay, I'll pass it down to Minyo Richards as Ojara prepares to come on. Minyo?
Well, good evening. I hope we're all doing well. Um, well, there was a time I fell into a scenario of that kind. We had our, I love this thing called beef, and one time I posted about some lady's pregnancy online, and in 10 minutes time, the husband called me, and the husband was really very angry at me, and I realized that was one of the biggest mistakes. To publish somebody's private life, and he came to me to my inbox and he told me, "Hey, bro, this is not right. I am asking you to put this down," and I also accepted that. I have to call for forgiveness from him and from the lady, and they also accepted that. And as I talk, we are really okay. We're very okay with the husband and the lady. We're very okay. So that's one thing I was once a victim of that kind. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Minyo. And I have Daro Patrick.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Are you hearing me?
Yes, Daro, yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I'm tackling the third one. That is, how often do you come across information that you feel is stock disinformation or hate speech, and what you usually do? I've been, at least almost every 2 days I come across misinformation, especially these adverts. You know, the adverts circulating sometimes on social media or mass recruitment. You see, these are disinformation, but I've always been telling people this is a scam. It's not a good one. I've also been getting misinformation or people claiming to be others, soliciting for funds or help from some other people, but I've always been putting back, especially to my friends, telling them, hey, there's an information like this, like here, where. So that's a brief one I can talk about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There was a hand from Ojara, Charles. Ojara, is your mic good now, or?
Yeah,
okay.
it's good.
Good, go ahead.
Okay, so that is taking point number 2. At what time when you share all public information with a fact or an error. So I was working for one of the media house in Juba. So there was a school competition game which was hosted in Western Bargazal. Wow. So I was informed by my colleague that the game will start at 3. Therefore, when I get in the studio, I went on air and then I said the game between this school is taking place. When I called to confirm how was the result in the first half, they told me the game was cancelled. So I have to come on air and apologize to my listener. So this one, we need to be very careful when we are giving out information. Thanks.
That's a nice one. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Bida, you had given me space for 3 people, unless you want me to continue this way.
Yeah, I think that's enough. So yeah,
all right, go ahead.
Thank you guys for sharing your experience and getting to know that actually we come across this sort of information, and also sometimes we also do these things ourselves. Thank you so much. Yeah, so in this session, we'll basically look at an introduction to hate speech and misinformation, disinformation. We'll also have a basic understanding of misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. We'll look at identifying and analyzing misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. We'll look at combating misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech, the role of South Sudanese youth, and then we'll wrap up with a strong conclusion. So what are the objectives of this session? In this session, we want to see that you as participants are informed about the prevalence and potential dangers of misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech in the society. We also want to see that as participants, you get a list of tools that will help critically evaluate the information and be able to differentiate between reliable sources and false or misleading content. And then we'll also look at emphasizing the importance of verifying information before sharing with others. And of course, we'll look at giving you some tips on combating misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. And lastly, give you motivation as participants to actively participate in promoting accurate information, countering disinformation, and fostering a culture of tolerance and respect. So, all of you know that misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech have existed for as long as there were people to create and spread them. Since creation, already there was misinformation, disinformation, and what? And hate speech. And of course, if some of you are very familiar with the Bible, though many people argue that the Bible is a book that has not been properly edited, but at least it's a reference that people use. And you will realize that actually there has been misinformation from the time of Adam. But what happened now is that the internet has reshaped and amplified the ability to produce and perpetuate false and misleading content. That is why in today's digital age, it is increasingly important for young people to be aware of the potential dangers posed by usually we cannot totally do with these things because they already get awareness about it. And then when we do these things, now let's look at the definitions of the key terms. One of the terms is, of course, misinformation. Now, misinformation is very, very common, and this is what is happening all around the media. So misinformation is usually unintentional. So most of these people, they don't have any agenda. So they just share this information because they think it is true, but at the end it is not true. So misinformation is the unintentional spread of inaccurate or misleading information. Here, the person does not know that the information is true or false, but they just share it. That is misinformation. You don't know whether the information is false, and then you share it thinking that it is true. And then we have disinformation. Disinformation is the deliberate dissemination of false or misleading information with the intention to deceive or manipulate. In disinformation, there is a clear agenda. Like literally, the author of this particular content knows that this thing is false and is pushing it for some reason because he wants to gain something. And then we have hate speech. Hate speech is any form of expression that offends, threatens, or insults individuals or groups based on attributes such as race, religion, ethnicity, or gender. So in simple terms, hate speech is saying something bad about a person or any other thing. And then we have malinformation. Now, malinformation is where someone actually uses information that is true, but they use it in a way that damages another person's reputation. Like it is when genuine information is shared to cause harm, often by moving private information into the public sphere. You know, like in organizations, there are some documents that are marked confidential. In relationships, there are people, when they are mad in relationships, they take nudes. Maybe when they're having sex, they take videos, or maybe when they're naked, they take photos. Like these are private stuff. But when things go wrong, this information is pushed to the public sphere. This information is not false. The information is true, yeah? But then it is used in a way that can inflict harm on an entity or individual. And in most cases, this malinformation includes leaks, data breaches, and personal information that is shared to the what? To the public. I hope these 4 terms are very clear to all of us. Misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and malinformation. Now, let's look at these examples. These examples will help differentiate these terms. And in this case, I am going to exit. I'm going to exit the slideshow so that you clearly see these things. So this one here happened when there was the coup in Niger, and this page called South Sudan Eye published this, that J1 was under siege, and what happened in Niger yesterday is now happening in Juba. Pray for President Kiir. Now, I want any one person to raise their hand. John Ngong, you can see whose hand is up. You tell us whether this is misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, or hate speech. Just tell us. Hate speech, you need to talk a lot of things. By show of hand, please. Or you can just type in the chat box. What do you think this is, based on the explanation I've provided? Disinformation, what is it?
Gordon is saying this is disinformation. Wani is saying disinformation. Simon Dayum is saying malinformation. Okay.
Okay, good. So what about you, John Ngong? What is it?
I do not know the intention of this person. Would be good to know.
It's difficult to tell the person's intention, but you can just read in between the lines.
Yes, I can. To me, I would say this is okay. I can see this is false, right? So it's misinformation in the first place. But since I cannot judge the intention, I would still stick to misinformation. I don't know.
Okay. So this is clearly disinformation. This is disinformation. The person wants to manipulate people because literally this person knows that there was nothing happening in one of that kind, right? The author knows there's nothing happening like that, but they decide to push this information to cause sort of confusion among members of the audience. So this is disinformation. And then let's look at this. Let's look at this. This person publishing this. What is this? Is this disinformation, misinformation, or hate speech?
It's hilarious, these examples.
What is this? You can type in the chat box, or you can.
One is saying this is hate speech. One is saying it's hate speech. Major is saying hate speech.
Yeah, obviously this is hate speech. Yeah, this is saying something bad about another person or group of people. Then let us look at this. This is John Frog video and stuff like that. What is this? This one, where people forward videos on Messenger. You see videos being forwarded to people and private information. This is correct.
Yeah, if it is true, then it is malinformation. Yeah, I can see Gordon also malinformation, and one for malinformation.
Good. This is malinformation because it's actually private information that is being leaked to the public sphere. And then what about earlier on, Patrick talked about job scams. You see this one publishing that the National Revenue Authority is hiring and stuff. Is hiring thousands of people. I don't know who hires thousands of people, but what do you think of this? Is this misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, or hate speech?
Could be misinformation. Yeah.
Disinformation.
Misinformation.
Okay, great. So that is correct. Wani and the group. This is disinformation because clearly this person knows that the National Revenue Authority is not hiring, and then they put emails what. So usually, what happens? We have ever investigated this. So what happens is when you actually apply for these jobs actually people who apply. There are people who don't actually use their common sense in this country. So what happens is people actually apply for these things, and what happens is when you apply, they will send you an email, and they will say you've been selected, but there's something called ABC, and for you to go to the next step, you send some money to this M-Pesa number, So this is disinformation because clearly they want to get money from unsuspecting job seekers. So this is disinformation. You need to know these things very, very well. Let us talk about this. Recently, the Kenyan e-citizen has been hacked, and already people say that South Sudan hackers actually hacked the Kenyan e-citizen. What do you think about this? Is this misinformation, disinformation, or hate speech? This one. That e-citizen of Kenya has been hacked by South Sudan hackers.
Isaac is saying this is
I see,
misinformation.
correct. I see people understand the concepts. So this one is misinformation because clearly this person does not know what he's saying. Yeah, he doesn't know it is true. He just shares it without any intention. So he thinks that actually they are South Sudanese hackers. But what happens is the group that hacked, the group that claimed responsibility for the cyber attack, the Kenyan e-citizen platform is called Anonymous Sudan. So people think, because you know these days people still call South Sudanese Sudanese. So probably it's just a mix-up. Yeah. So this is misinformation. Perfect. Now the last one, the second last is this. Let us look at this here. This one. This one is very, very common. People share on TikTok, on WhatsApp, these messages that jobs, scholarship, free laptops, links are very, very common. What do you think about them? Disinformation, misinformation, or speech?
Disinformation, in my view.
Disinformation, good. Yeah. So this is actually disinformation because these links are very, very bad. I must tell you guys, I advise that I like it with a Tukul School group. Always Majok deletes them. It's actually good advice to always delete, because the people who actually forward these links, they don't know that it is what it is false. But the people who publish the actual, they know that it is. So what happens is this thing, those links, when you click, they will actually install malware, especially if it is on your computer. They will install malware on your computer, and then you can become a potential target of a cyber attack, or you can become a potential target of online surveillance. And as a result of that, you may lose very important digital assets, or even money. Your bank account can be emptied in case you do online banking. So you need to be very, very careful with such links. Another one that is similar to this is where these people inbox you that, hey, you need to use free data. There's a code sender, and then you lose your account. A lot of people have lost their account because of this. Now the last one is this one here. This hate speech, misinformation, or disinformation?
This is hate speech.
Yeah, this is. So in my opinion, I can conclude that most of you have understood these concepts, except you have any questions on disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech. Yep. So
Bida, there was a question. There was a question from someone. The story of J1 under siege. If this person heard from another person and they just went ahead and published it without confirming, how would we categorize it?
No, if you follow South Sudan is a propaganda page. So obviously they know these things are not true, and then they just publish it. So they know it's not true. Yeah. So that South Sudan is but if somebody shares it, actually somebody who is not in South Sudan share without knowing, that is actually this. Actually, when you look at the South Sudan, we have reported several times. So when you look at the performance is very, very low now, because actually Facebook does not show its post to people. Yeah, because of the kind of content that they publish.
Okay.
Good. So let's continue. So you ask yourself, why do people share disinformation, and hate speech? All of you know that a crisis, the disruption of both social networks and access to the usual sources of information can provide fertile ground for the development of misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech, sidestepping people's critical thinking and allowing misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech to proliferate. And all of you should know that people generally share misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech because they think that they are true. But there are several reasons why people share misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. One of these reasons is to explain a situation or an event. All of you know that in a situation where there's information vacuum, where there's information crisis, very often people seek explanations to these situations, right? Like recently, there hasn't been good rain in Juba. People started speculating that this is because of the construction that's happening in J1, and also because of the construction that is the construction of the new headquarters for the Bank of South Sudan. That the people who are constructing this, the Chinese, they have put in machines that prevents rain from coming. Why is this misinformation happening? This is because they need an explanation to a situation. Why is this thing happening? Last time, you remember, one of the years, there was a report, actually, when Kir ordered the National Security Service to release what they call an unclassified report. When the report came out, the report was sort of half-baked, and people actually didn't like it. The people were wondering, how much could this report have costed? How much the consultants paid to bring such a report? Then already, the Sudan Sport is an online news publishing site. So they went and wrote that this report, the people who are contracted were paid several $1 million. They put a certain figure. You see, this was false. But then it pushed actually the office of the president to hold a press conference, to actually state the actual figure to which the person was paid. But already people were explaining this. Also, you remember last year, when there was a deployment around the home of Riek Machar, and you know what happened at that time? People started already speculation. Hey, this is this, until the president had to come out and make a nation address to explain what was happening. So this is one reason why misinformation and hate speech is spread. Another reason is to mislead, to deceive people, very often for economic gains, like the case of job scams, and in the case of the scams that Daro Patrick explained earlier, where they say that we're offering loans and stuff. There are no loans, obviously. There are no loans, just scam pages. And another one is political motivation. You know, the politicians, they usually, I remember this year, when the SPLM Secretary General said actually hate speech against Riek Machar, and this was actually in line with political agenda. You see, and then another thing is people share misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech to share useful or entertaining information. In the case of memes, actually, when you study these memes being shared by South Sudan Bro, by Afade memes, when you look beyond the memes, actually there's hate speech and misinformation. I have often called them out. Like the content that sometimes they share, the people think it is entertaining, but actually beyond it, there's hate speech. And beyond it, there's misinformation in them. And also, sometimes people share misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. People are complaining of an echo from where?
I don't know. It's good on my side.
Yeah, probably. I think they should fix that. And then another thing is people want to develop relationships by using information as a currency. You know, these days people are looking for a way to forge. You know, they want to make friends. So, for instance, let's say that John Ngong is somebody that I really wanted him to be my good friend, but then I don't know how I can make him my friend. See, and then I realized John Ngong is looking for certain piece of information. Then what I can do is I can try to fabricate a story so that I can start a conversation with John Ngong. You see, and in this, as I do this already, I am spreading what? Misinformation. You see that? So that is in this case, people use misinformation, and hate speech as a currency to develop relationships with other people. You see that? And then you see also another thing is recently there's the Africa-Russia Summit, where only 17 African leaders attended out of 53, out of 50, over 50 countries in Africa. So, and then there you see Vladimir Putin saying a lot of crap about Ukraine and stuff. You see, this is because he wants to develop relationships with the African countries, and he's using information as a currency for that. And another thing is, people want to connect to issues affecting them. You know very well that a lot of things are happening around this country. A lot of things are happening around this world. But then for people to feel connected to these issues, people must talk about these issues, right? And of course, as they talk about these issues, then they can even speak lies, right? Or they can even speak bad against certain groups of people in an effort to connect to issues that affect them. Then another thing is, people want to define themselves as being in the know, and then make, you know, there are people in society, even in neighborhoods, there are people who claim that they're always on top of the news, like they know everything. Sometimes they're lying, sometimes they say lies, you see? But just because they want to define themselves as people who are in the know, or as people who are on top of the news, and they want to make other people as people who are behind the news and they are good, and those people are bad. And then another thing is poor journalism. Poor journalism. You know, this, especially online media, most of them, we want to be the first to break the story, you see? So as a result, as a result of being in the rush to be able to break the story, a lot of mistakes can be made, which, if not corrected, can have potentially damaging consequences. In most cases, by the time the story is corrected, it has already caused damage. You see that? I remember, I don't know whether it was last year or one of the years, where some guy actually created a whole fake competition. The guy claimed that he won something called global academic competition, that he is the first from South Sudan to win that. And already, even credible media entities like iRadio, they rush to publish the story without even just doing a simple Google search whether there's something called World Academic Competition. You see that? This is because they're in the rush to be the first to break a story. And by the time you do the correction already, things have happened. You see that? Another reason is for social psychological reasons. Often people actually, they don't even have bad intentions, but they just push some of these things because they want to see, what will these people think? I want to post things that is, I know is false. I want to know what people will say. Yeah, they don't really have bad intentions, but they're just trying to test your psychology. Yep. Any questions about why you think people share misinformation, hate speech? Are you convinced or you're not convinced? Additional comments, you can raise your hand. We need to make this session as interactive. You can raise your hand, John Ngong, you can see if there's any hand up, or you can just make additional comments in the chat box. If you want
No
to make
problem.
a comment,
I'll be monitoring.
Yeah.
We are good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
there
there are two
hands.
Oh, okay.
3 actually.
It blew up. Dominic
Yep.
Wall, and then I give it to Philip. So Dominic Wall, please go ahead.
And thank you, Bida, the nice presentation. So, this session on MDH, or the disinformation and hate speech is interesting, by the way. There are a lot of things that are happening actually in social media as of now. For example, there are people who just to gain likes or to have a kind of recognition that you have followers or something of that kind. Thank you.
Yeah, you made a note. Okay. Whom do we have again? Philip Rowe.
Yes, thank you so much for the chance. Thank you so much, facilitator, for the wonderful and precise presentation. And our context, disinformation and hate speech, especially on social media, and as well as question as analyst for the Tukul today. For example, the Minister of Finance in the central bank declared a rate of dollar in the cost of living economically of South Sudan, that he wanted to increase the rate of dollar so that he has to control the inflations. Is that a misinformation, disinformation, or hate speech? Looking at that situation, you realize that it is even inflating more than before they have announced such a situation. Two, like iRadio, you have said it before very well. You may find that some social medias just run into social media, announce something which they might not internalize properly, and later on realize that it is mistake. Is that also a misinformation, disinformation, or hate speech? And if yes, what shall we do, as we are full of such problems, especially in South Sudan context? I may not talk about other countries, but in South Sudan, we are doing a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. Thank you.
That is a question to you. Maybe you want to react before we can give it to other participants who have raised their hands.
You can give to one lady. I think I see there's Sidonia Chan. Let her speak.
Okay, cool. Sidonia, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Vida. Thank you, John. Bida, thank you so much for the quite insightful and super informative presentation. My question is generally on the memes. So how do you strike a balance? Because sometimes memes can be shared with the intention of creating light moments, like for comedy or for making people, like, to have the light moment. So how do you strike a balance that whereby that the fact that you're sharing a meme to create light moments does not actually end up in creating hate speech, misinforming people, or disinforming people? Because I see there's a thin line between you being able to create a light moment and also being in the position to misinform the public. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we get to answer these questions later at the end of the session. Let's proceed. So what impact does this have on individuals? So very often you realize that because of this and misinformation and hate speech, already there's lack of trust already. False information erodes trust in institutions, media, and public figures. Obviously, when there's someone who shares false information, like me now, there are certain media houses that I don't follow. It's not because I don't really like them, but it's because of the kind of information that they share. So most often I get to just, people get to share information from them to me, but I don't really have interest to do that. This is because I've really lost trust in this institution, you see. So for people to trust you, if somebody who is building your profile, you should build your profile on a good note, because trust is very, very important for any institution or any person. Another thing is hate speech perpetuates division, discrimination, and conflict within society. All of you can see this very evident in the South Sudanese society. I think I don't have to explain deeply. Another thing is also these things hinder progress. You see, misinformation can hinder social, economic, and political development in any country, and South is a case in point. And then another thing is also it can influence community beliefs and behaviors, and you find that people become so attached to certain things that they may not want to change. So one thing that is very, very important for us is should be able to develop critical thinking skills. So when we develop critical thinking skills, It will help us recognize and evaluate misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. And it will also help us promote informed decision-making and foster a very tolerant and inclusive society. How do we do this? We should be able to encourage young people within our social networks, to question and verify information from multiple sources. It is what we call triangulation of sources. When you get to hear certain information, you need to talk to 3 to 4 people to see if this information is true. Another thing is you should promote fact-checking websites and tools to be able to verify claims and debunk misinformation. Actually, most of the information that is being shared these days has already been debunked by a lot of fact-checking websites. So when you are able to follow these fact-checking websites, then you are able to verify claims and should be able to debunk misinformation. To debunk means explain if something is true or false after it has been published. Now, what are some of the fact-checking tools and websites? One of the fact-checking tool for all of us is common sense. Use your sense. Yeah, just common sense. Very, very important. Another thing is you need to use search engines like Google, Bing, and Yandex. As long as you have there, and when, for instance, when they post right now that there's fighting in J1, go to Google or Bing or Yandex, whichever search engine is your favorite, and then you just type fighting in J1. Then you see if there's any publication about that. Or you just go to Facebook and then on the Facebook search bar, just type fighting in J1 and see latest posts around that. This is one thing, search engines. Another thing is you can use Google Images, and you can use Google Images, Bing. You can use Bing and Yandex Images to do what we call a reverse image search. Later on in the Tukul School group, I will share some Android apps that can help you do reverse image searches in case you come across manipulated images. And then another tool that you can use is whois.com. Whois.com helps you get domain information, especially for websites, because it can help you easily differentiate between authentic and inauthentic websites. Another tool is VirusTotal. So VirusTotal helps you scan documents and websites to see that these websites or this thing is not infected by malware, especially when you receive emails, unsolicited emails from people that you don't trust. And you need to also make sure that you look at fact-checking websites like 211check.org, pesacheck.org, africacheck.org, and AFP Fact Check. So like I said, some of this information that comes back and forth in circulation has already been debunked. So when you search these fact-checking websites, it can be very, very useful for you. And then another one is you can use Google Maps and Google Earth, especially when they tell you that there's a protest happening in this part of the country. If the country has an active satellite, you can actually view in real time what is happening. In Google Street View, what is happening in a certain part. So these are very important fact-checking tools and websites that can help you in your effort to be able to verify information. What are the common tactics that these disinformers use? What common tactics are being employed by these people? Because people actually know what they're doing, yeah? So one of the common tactics that they use is what we call clickbait headlines. For clickbait headlines, these are sensationalized headlines designed to grab attention. But very often, when you look deeply beyond these things, they often distort the truth, and I don't like that. Obviously, I always call WhatsApp media houses, and they don't like me for that. And then another thing is manipulated images. So these are images that are edited or images that are taken out of context to support false narratives. You see, recently we have been checking images, and there are people who go to the comment section for the 211check Facebook page, and they say that this project is very irrelevant. Why would you fact checking images when we post images for fun? But then we don't actually fact check every image, but we see what narrative is attached to this particular image. But because people don't understand these things, so most guys just end up deleting these comments because they don't serve us any purpose. You see that? Another thing is people use bots and trolls, especially on Twitter. People use bots like automated accounts. or individuals spreading false information or hate speech online, or people employ a group of individuals who are just there to push certain narratives about certain things online. So these are very, very tactics that you should look out for: clickbait headlines, manipulated images, bots, and trolls. Now let's look again here. I'm going to end a slider, and I'm just going to make a brief explanation. This is one example of a manipulated image. We don't have 5,000 South Sudanese note, but somebody just decided to go and edit this, you see. But when you look clearly, when you use your common sense, first of all, you look here, the word is written 1,000 South Sudanese pounds. This means somebody just edited something. When you look at this, when you look at the font type, you see, so this is obviously a case of manipulated image. And then this is a case of a clickbait headline. This idea here claim that this person said actually it's a journalist with fear AI. But when you ban, okay, in journalism, when they put something in quotes like this, it shows that the thing is figurative. But in this case, it's not figurative. It's actually very misleading, because when you actually read the full story, this person didn't say students should fear AI, but this person actually encourages students to be able to cope with AI and to learn and to be part of the changing trends in the development of artificial intelligence. And then when you look at this is again another case of a false narrative. This person claimed that this was Juba in 2002, 2004. Okay, the point is this. Huh? So when somebody does not know Juba, and because our audiences are diverse online, yeah. So when somebody does not actually know Juba, some may think this is true, yeah, but this is not true. This is never Juba, yeah, at this time. So when you do a reverse image, you will find that this is actually an image of different place. So and then you see, and another one here is this. Yeah, you see, somebody just creates this and say digital is giving airtime when it is not, true. So these are very common tactics that actually disinformers use to drive traffic. You know, like when you look at iRadio, they have ads on their website. So the more people visit their website, the more money they get from those ads that they have on their website. So obviously they're doing this so that people click on their links and people visit their website, and then they get paid by Google for the ads that are running on their site. So you should also actually be very, very aware of such things. Yep. How can we combat misinformation and hate speech? One very important thing is promoting media literacy and digital citizenship. Like what we are doing now is something very, very important. It is part of media literacy efforts to see that we get to share our experience and stuff like that. And we should also be able to educate youth about the responsible use of social media platforms and how these youth can also communicate online. And we should also encourage critical thinking, like I mentioned earlier. We should encourage checking, and we should encourage the responsible sharing of information. So these are key things we should do for us to be able to combat disinformation. What we are doing now, we have a webinar on fact checking, and we bring media experts. They get to talk, and people learn. We have a conference, people come, people talk about these things, people share experiences, people go, people learn. We have a Tukul session on misinformation and hate speech. People come, people talk, people share experiences, people learn. These are all media literacy efforts, and they go a long way in helping us combat this misinformation and hate speech. Another thing is we should, of course, advocate for inclusive and accurate media reporting. When these media houses do these mistakes, we should call them out and tell them, you guys, what you're doing is not good. You should actually stick to quality work. You should see that you do something that helps you do accurate reporting for you to maintain your credibility as a media entity. We should also be able to support initiatives that promote media literacy skills among young people. So when you see an initiative out there that is promoting literacy, like the Tukul School and stuff, you can volunteer your time to be able to share experiences and stuff like that. So this is very, very important, because when we talk to 1 or 2 or 4 people, these people will go again and talk to other people, and the cycle continues. And we are doing our part, because you do your part, I do my part, we do our part, and we are all contributing to the development of this country. And another thing is collaboration and reporting mechanisms. You know, English says if you want to go far, go with people. So that calls for collaboration. And then also we will be able to set reporting mechanisms like social media platforms. You can actually report misinformation on social media using a mechanism that has been set there. And then another thing, we should be able to foster partnerships between the government, civil society organizations, and technology company to be able to combat misinformation and hate speech. And we should be able also to establish reporting mechanisms for individuals to report instances of misinformation or a hate speech, especially to the police. We should advocate for laws to be able to criminalize these things. Yeah, workshops like these. This was a conference for students. They get to learn these things. This is a gathering. This is again a gathering. So when we do these things, we conquer the world with love, and then get to combat misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. Yep. So of course, like I mentioned earlier, education and awareness raising, very, very important. We should also be able to incorporate media literacy and critical thinking into the school curriculum. People can push for that actually. We can organize workshops and training sessions to increase awareness of misinformation and disinformation. And we should focus more on youth-led initiatives. We should encourage young people to create positive content and counter narratives against hate speech. Yeah, people should be able to create content that is positive, and we should also be able to do counter narratives against hate speech. Like I said earlier, we should support youth-led campaigns that promote tolerance, empathy, and unity. And equipping South Sudanese youth with the knowledge and skills to identify, analyze, and tackle misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech can foster a more inclusive and informed society. It is our responsibility, of course, as South Sudanese to work together to empower ourselves and build a future where accurate information, respect, and understanding prevails. Together, of course, we can make a difference. Guys, that brings us to the end of our session, and I wish you all a lovely evening. Except you have any questions. Of course, many thanks to the Tukul team, and it's been a pleasure having this presentation. Yes.
Thank you, Bida. Questions that came before, and you said you'll answer them towards the end. Would you like to go back there?
I already answered the questions in the presentation.
Oh,
so
okay.
if they follow carefully.
Oh, okay. Okay. There was a question that came from Sidonia, where she said we share a lot of memes, or sometimes a lot of memes are shared with us, and we do not know when these memes cross from being just light jokes to dis or misinformation, or sometimes even hate speech. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, it depends on people's interpretation. Yeah. So in most cases, people may just see it as an ordinary meme. Yeah. But what I said is, when you think critically, or when you look beyond the meme, you will see something worse. Yeah.
Right.
So what is very important is we should be able to not share. Yeah, when you come across this, and then when you realize that this is actually very harmful meme, don't share it. Yeah, just like for me, actually, I exercise restraint. When I much as it's maybe it's from my favorite meme page, but when I see that this thing is not good, I don't share it.
Okay.
Yeah, or sometimes I can even reach the meme page. I say, my friend, this content you put is not good.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is a question from Tong. He's asking, what about people who spread hate speech even in songs? People sing songs against individuals or a certain community, and they literally do it in form of a song. Can that be combated?
Yeah. So you see, what we do is this. You see here, we say that what you can do, you can create a positive content and counter narratives against such kind of such kind of, when there's a song like, if you are a singer, you can also do a positive song, you see. Yeah, that counters that form of hate speech. And even what you do is you don't encourage people to share that song. Yeah, when
Right.
engage in debates against, yeah, you can sort of ignore. And then also sometimes there is where there are direct attacks on you on social media, stuff like that. What you do is, Facebook has most of the platforms, they have you, who is the author of the code, you can actually delete comments. So when you see that this comment is actually positive, for me, I delete because I don't want to engage in such kind of things. Yeah. So you just create positive content and counter narratives against hate speech.
Okay, we have 3 more minutes, so let's hope people get to use them also. And I have Ojara Charles raised a hand. Ojara, you drop your hand now. Would you like to? Okay, good. Go ahead. Yes, Ojara. Okay, cool. Let me give it to Peter Deng. He has his hand up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. This is very nice. And I don't want to talk much. I just want to actually contribute on the question that have been asked by Tom. I think for the singer who can sing a song against other community, this can be alternatively handled by the ministry concerned. You know, the ministry is there, and this ministry is supposed to have laws or regulations that actually guides all the artists in the country, so that they know where they should not actually use their songs against other community or against other individuals. And I think this is something that the ministry have to take up to do. And if they are there already, then they should actually encourage the musician or the artist so that they can not do such things, because it is actually hate speech already. Because they have to handle it, and they have to come up with the laws that should be passed down to the association, if they have the association like the artists association, so that they can actually cascade this regulation the grassroots level, and then they can avoid, or they can actually handle this. What I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Bida, can I ask you a question? What about these TikTok shorts? The TikTok shorts could be cut from a video that is like 1 hour, where somebody was making a point over a long time, but sometimes they can just be cut into like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then somebody puts them out of context and they want to use it as sort of truth. How do we deal with this? Yeah.
So what is very important is in those cases, like, you can come up with a write-up that puts actually the full context. Like, it's very common, because when it's actually a tactic that people use. Yeah, people will go, and somebody has made a very huge point, and people will go and concentrate on a very minor point that the person has made. Actually, then it becomes misinformation. Yeah. So what happens usually, you can also do a counter narrative. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, what about one thing, deep fakes? People can do deep fakes even in videos these days, right?
Yeah. Actually, there are already YouTube channels or even TikTok videos that are not actually real human beings speaking. They actually do these deepfakes and stuff, but of course there are usually what we call there are also tools that are coming up that will help you actually detect defects, but the tools are still in the early stages of development, so they cannot do actually a good job. Yeah, but you just need to be very, very careful. What you need to do, you need to do searches on Google, for instance, like there was one about Biden and stuff. So you can just do a Google search, see the keywords in the video, and you can do Biden maybe says this, and you see the results that you will see. More often you realize that it has already been debunked. It has already been debunked by fact-checking websites or even by an official government statement. And sometimes you can also take a very close look at the video. Yeah, you see the movement of the mouth, like how the lips of the person are moving, the eye movement and stuff. So you can just take a critical look at the video, and you will realize some small irregularities here and there, and you can easily tell that this is a deep fake.
Okay, that is good. Okay, I don't see any more hands from the room. I hope we are not getting quiet.
Yeah, there are no more questions.
Okay. Yeah, no more. Bida, thank you very much. We really appreciate this. I have personally learned a lot from the session, and I believe this session has also helped us to continue with the same agenda, creating awareness and also making people more conscious in terms of how do we protect ourselves from getting attacked or even propagating these hate speeches, this and misinformation. And I really appreciate that. And Minyo has an update, live update. That's good. It's coming through the chat. But really, thank you guys for finding the time. We appreciate the turn up. This has been wonderful. And Bida, thank you. I think we will give it a close at this point. But if we have any questions that we would like to ask you, we will come back to you, bro. This topic is really.
Yeah, I will share the presentation. This is the improved version of the presentation. The other version has some missing parts.
Okay. That will be good. All right. Okay, thank you, everyone. You guys have been very active participants, and I think this has even brought out more learning and made the session interactive. So thank you all. I would like to wish you a good night and bye-bye from us.